Hi, in IFS we have three clusters of parts and self. So self being the energy of being, of holding all the parts, the consciousness that is in all parts, but the consciousness that also holds all parts. So the parts are managers. We call them managers in IFS, everyday parts that are managing. They help you do what you usually do, be who you usually are, and get on with life, generally fairly comfortably within a tolerance of the usual you. And then if those managers are stretched or pushed too hard by life, stuff that's going around them, or stuff they've internalized that they must be or achieve, and they feel overwhelmed, then other parts can step in and take over to rescue the managers, to shunt the system, to make changes, to help restore balance. That's their intention, at least. So they can present in all kinds of different ways, and they're usually very reactive, impulsive, and nothing else matters. They could even be a bit like psychopaths. They just, nothing else matters. They just go out to put out the fire of emotion. If something's felt that they believe that they shouldn't feel, that they'll do anything to stop that feeling. So that's where we got like addictions and all kinds of compulsive behaviors, controlling behaviors, all the extremes that you can think of in life, drugs and sex and all that stuff. And the other side of that is hidden parts that we've had to put away, out of reach for those reasons. What the firefighters and managers do, they manage so you don't have to feel certain feelings that they believe or have come to believe that you can't tolerate or won't be able to tolerate them, even though you're already holding them in your system. So on the one extreme, a simple way of putting it, on the one extreme, hidden parts out of reach, buried, unconscious, pushed away, exiled. And on the other extreme, we've got very reactive, powerful parts, strong, rage even. I don't know if hidden and rage would be the two best words for the extremes of this continuum, but that's it, simply. It's that continuum of extremes, in the variation, the multiple ways that could show up. Managers are in the middle of that, so they're kind of they can be in their pure energy, automated, natural, spirited energy, or they can be, with the firefighter, exile, hidden kind of stuff as well. In between, a mix of the both. So, and all parts have taken on information from the world around. So some of that information is useful and helps the part flow, and some of it hinders the part, and some of it used to help the part flow, but now it hinders, depending on the context. So things change. So this kind of responds differently in different contexts. So I guess that's what I wanted to say, really, is this simple way of looking at it, from the hidden to the extreme rage, absolutely fierce and pushing out, and and what they're cloaked with, and what they've taken on board. Something important in my practice is reaching to connect with the autonomy of each part. Because often we don't recognize the part. Parts don't recognize the parts. They recognize the clothes they're wearing, as I like to say, the information that they're carrying. So instead of seeing a person wearing a uniform, you see the uniform and you recognize them as that. So you don't really see the person. And it's the same in in the academic world. People look for the words, for the letters, rather than the actual person, what they've trained in, than the actual person. It's like those qualifications sometimes, or the rules, or the laws, and the social scripts are more important than the people. So that's an interesting thing. So in we internalize that stuff, that kind of those social scripts, and kind of become that. So IFS kind of undoes that to see the person, to really meet the person. So it's very much about presence. It's presence led rather than structurally led. There is a structure in IFS, but it's kind of a loose structure. In systemic thinking, we use irreverence. So that's kind of to not be too attached to any modality, not to be too attached to your thinking, not to be too attached to emotional constructs or scientific ideas. It's all that is secondary data. It's useful. If it's useful, then that's great. Sometimes it can be tricky. Sometimes it seems useful when it's actually doing you more harm than good. That's why protectors get trapped in their roles. So, I'm rambling a bit here, but there's something really simple about looking at it in this simple way. There's you, your consciousness, the you that knows your experience, the you that has a body, the you that isn't the body, the you that knows your thinking that isn't your thinking, the you that knows you feel, have emotions, that isn't the feelings or the emotions, the you that witnesses them in relationship to your experiences that get embodied as parts. The parts taking extreme roles, parts taking gentle roles. I must put on this soft voice because I need to hypnotize my client and convince them that they're safe. Or parts that bring self-energy, and they can be a bit more agitating to meet fierce parts, and with that courageous kind of fierceness, all held with self-energy. So it can all present, in different ways in context. It's about joining and meeting. Anyway, I've got an incoming call, so I'm going to have to go. All the best. Go well.